Right out of the gate, this is definitely one of those items that I would take with a grain of salt. Patents are ramping up from Apple, alluding to the possibility that they would start working on a smart ring of their own to likely compete with the Galaxy Ring. That was announced during the January Unpacked event and was recently highlighted at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. No timeline is even speculated on Apple's version, although sketchy rumors hint that it could be sooner than later. Here at Stern's Tech Talk, I'm confident that you'll likely not hear anything from Apple till no sooner than 2026. That's my estimation. And that's even if Apple follows through with pushing their ideas beyond the patent office. So definitely have to wait and see on that one. But if it is coming, I am kind of excited about that. And as we'll hear in a little bit, kind of some of the news that it has been confirmed with the smart ring from Samsung at MWC.
Yeah, and I'll mention that here in a second. But it's weird because this ring was just, essentially released, not to the public necessarily. And I don't think there's a feel for what people are thinking necessarily, or if they're going to buy it. We won't know that until the actual release when people are, doing pre-release and stuff like that. So I feel like, and maybe that's what Apple's doing, is they're kind of waiting it out to see if this actually is a thing that they should actually, work on.
That's also what I'm thinking too, yeah.
Yeah, because if you go ahead, this person's doing it, so we should do it too. There's no data to suggest that you should be doing that because it's not popular. Yeah, it's not all that kind of stuff. But with that, we will actually go into the ring. It was mentioned a few weeks ago, and it was like a quick little thing at the end of the Unpacked event. But now they've actually showcased the look for them at this year's WMC, as JD mentioned. And they're going to be releasing these in 3 different finishes: black, gold, and silver. And there will also be various sizes, in which the largest one will have the most battery life. There are some things that are confirmed from previous rumors that we've stated in the past. One is heart rate tracking, and the other is sleep tracking through your phone. Other than that, Samsung is not revealing really anything else to us at this time, but obviously we will keep you guys posted on any new news or leaks that come out with this. So,
this is one of those things, like I said, I'm kind of excited about, just because I find it kind of depends on the accuracy. So you look at fitness trackers and you're like, well, they're simple design, they don't cost that much, and they do a fairly good job. Depending on what models you get, there's kind of a gray area there. The question here would be, well, of course, battery longevity, and from what it sounds like, it might be around a week. We're not even sure, so that'll be yet to be determined from Samsung. But I like the idea that you could potentially just not have to worry about a tracker, or even if you're one of those people that doesn't even like smartwatches, you could just have the ring.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where I see it going. And evidently, Samsung's talked about how it's going to work interchangeably between, if they have with their smartwatches and the ring. So that's a good thing to consider as well for those who, for whatever reason, want both, or maybe to have, I guess, improved accuracy, because if you have both of them, maybe that'll improve how things work. Hard to say. But that's kind of my take on it. And like I said, I'm still looking forward to once it reaches the public, and possibly how it pushes on other competitors to bring it to market as well. Yeah,
there were a lot of comments in the article that I got this information from that were just like, oh, wow, I'm so excited because I really hate wearing watches, and this just is right up my alley. I'm like, to each their own. I myself prefer a watch. I really couldn't. I don't know. I feel like a ring is, maybe until I actually see it, in person or whatever, or see everyone's else's reaction, I might change my view. But right now, I'm kind of just on the fence about it. But yeah, it's pretty. it's cool though. Like it's amazing how technology has come to the point where you can actually have all those sensors in a small little metal device. It's just crazy like that. But
so it is. But last week, I didn't actually get a chance to mention this, but Walmart was in talks with Vizio on acquiring the company. That has since taken place, amounting to $2.3 billion in the deal. As a result, for what we can expect to be a limited time, Walmart is showcasing a handful of discounts on various Vizio models. And while the brand may not be in the conversation of the likes of LG, Samsung, Sony, they do offer a decent viewing experience for a far cheaper price. So I've even owned a Vizio in the past. But that's I was hoping to get that on last week's episode, but we were so crammed with other topics. But it's now official, so Vizio is now under Walmart.
That's crazy to actually think, because normally the On brand is under Walmart. I never really thought that Walmart was going to take Vizio, especially considering they're, like you said, they're not exactly a popular type of TV, although they are cheaper for what they offer. So they just have like all rights to it now. They have like all the TVs. Basically.
Yeah, and I think part of that was also the fact that Vizio is, I guess they're bigger when it comes to the advertising and such, and I think that's what Walmart saw more beyond just the TVs, because like you said, they have their own on brand. So yeah,
interesting. Well, that's great. Maybe they'll actually take that company even farther and make something out of it. So we'll have to see how that works.
Possibly, but it's Walmart, so
yeah, that's true. We did want to mention this real quick. Obviously, most of you are probably aware of the outage that went on with AT&T users this past Thursday. It was pretty crazy. Well, AT&T is actually giving users a $5 reimbursement for all the hassle that went on.
Woohoo!
So you use that in good spirit. There are some limitations for this, some stipulations, if you will. The bill credit does not apply to AT&T businesses, prepaid cards, or Cricket customers. Now, as far as why all this happened, AT&T has come out with a statement themselves, and they said, quote, quote, due to application and execution of an incorrect process used as we're expanding our network. Unquote. So not a cyber attack as many believed it to be. JD and I obviously are T-Mobile customers, so we did not experience this horror show. But everything seems to be working fine with AT&T, so that's good.
Yeah. Now I had read somewhere, maybe this was misinformation, but it was that $5? Woohoo! Supposed to be spread across a couple billing cycles. From what I understand, I'm not sure if you had that.
I didn't see that on the article I read. I might have missed it, but that's possible. I don't think. Yeah, it wouldn't be that easy. They wouldn't just give you $5.
Right. Yeah. I mean, considering how many customers are going to have to reimburse, $5 over how many
millions of people? Yeah, right. That's a loss, major loss. Right
you can just look at it as though you get to have maybe some tax reduction costs over the next couple billing cycles, I suppose.
Pretty much.
But heading over to T-Mobile, actually, last year they offered both its T-Mobile and Metro by T-Mobile customers Apple's MLS Season Pass that normally runs $15 a month or $100 on the season. That said, T-Mobile has confirmed to multiple publications that it will not be offering the perk for the 2024 season. I'm not the biggest fan of Major League Soccer, but I certainly felt like that was a nice add-on from the Magenta carrier. So, oh well.
Yeah, not much to say on this one, but that is a nice add-on right there. So.
Yeah, and it's also actually worth mentioning, related to sports, as a side note, that Apple has released their Apple Sports application, which I do find to be beneficial, especially if you're not one to mess with the news app that kind of has it integrated inside of it. So now it's separate. I like that. Okay,
that's actually pretty cool, because I think I don't want to get on this whole topic, but it just reminded me of when they released that... what was that app with like the orchestra, whatever? Because they wanted to take that out.
Classical music.
Classical music, yeah. They switched that and made it different. This one actually works better because it garners a lot of attention to specifically a more wider audience, I think. So.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't like the fact that it was kind of like meshed between all the tabs on the bottom. And I haven't checked the news app, but it's probably still that way, just so that way people who do use the news app, it's still there for you. I just felt like it needed to have its own application. I'm glad that Apple saw it that way as well.
Okay, yeah, I 100% agree with you right there.
Yeah.
By June 4th of this year, Google will be ending its support for Google Pay everywhere except Singapore and India. Instead, the company will be transitioning and nudging people to use Google Wallet instead, which not only allows you to transfer funds and pay for things readily and easily, but just like other forms of payment that have existed for a while now, you can store tickets, cards, and other such things on it. Now, a couple of things to note that Google has made people aware of is this, and this is enforced from now until, beyond. You will no longer be able to send or receive payments through Google Pay, and if you're looking for deals, you'll need to find another alternative, as the app will no longer have any of them. So, yeah, pretty crazy. Just another one in the bucket of lost hopes and dreams for Google.
Yeah, that is not surprising. It's actually funny. It reminds me of something that happened over the week. Wasn't part of the set list tonight. Mm-hmm. They actually had a hoax email go out that Gmail was going to be shutting down.
I saw that. Yep.
And I just had to laugh at that. I was like,
people actually believe it,
how many
though.
people would actually believe that? But the problem is Google has kind of put themselves up to be that kind of company that
is true,
turns things off. So it was just
it's believable, but also not believable. It's just one of those things. But yeah,
it is. It's
pretty
hilarious.
crazy.
But yeah, as far as the wallet, yeah, that makes sense. Kind of falls into the whole play with Apple because that's what they use with Apple Wallet. Yeah. But I think theirs is obviously branded as Apple Pay as well. So it's I don't know. However you want to view it, as long as it works and features are improved and added on as well. So
absolutely.
Many of us have been waiting for a revamp, redesign, or some sort of change in the least concerning iOS, since it's been over a decade since iOS 7 has been released.
Yes.
Now we have reports from Mark Gurman that iOS 18 could be quite the upgrade. He stated that Apple sees iOS 18 as ambitious and compelling. No specifics on what exactly this entails, although many speculate that this could be a derivative of Vision OS. It's not as likely to be the case, though, as the Vision platform is AR and VR based, and iOS is far from that. You might notice some similarities. That's possible, but as far as down to the basis of it all, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit different than that. It's also mentioned that this major upgrade design will be coming to Mac OS as well. However, that is not expected to be released until 2025 or even 2026. So I'm kind of curious to see what exactly Apple has supposedly in store for us, but that should soon be revealed as WWDC is right around the corner in June. So
one thing I did love about the Vision Pro is its UI. It was very smooth. Yeah. It looked absolutely stunning. It's not something I'm used to seeing, especially from Apple, where it's just almost like light. If that makes sense. It kind of has a sort of light feeling, like weightless almost. I think that's the sense that Apple was trying to give off with the Vision Pro, which makes sense. To see that as a possibility for iOS 18 I'm down for that, actually. I'm totally here for it. If that
would be great.
Yeah. You don't sound too enthusiastic about it?
Well, I am enthusiastic about it. It's just I don't know how likely that would be. I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine that, just because it's like a Vision OS is more of like a video pass through, so you can see a lot of translucency and it makes more sense. Not sure how well that would be integrated into iOS, but it's possible. I think you already saw a lot of translucent effects when iOS 7 was introduced, back in 2013. But I don't know. It's just time for some sort of redesign or just a refresh in some way, shape, or form. We've had it for quite a while, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And another quick hit before we go on to deals is we have rumors from Mark Gurman once again indicating that Apple may be releasing a HomePod with an iPad-like display on it. Gurman has also made known that Apple has considered making a device that combines a HomePod, Apple TV, and FaceTime camera. Pretty sure that's called an iPhone. Now, these two things could be correlative. Maybe, I'm not sure. It was kind of hard to tell what he was saying. Just you're still laughing in the background. That's good. I'm glad. But we don't have a whole lot more to go off of. So for now, we can only imagine what these things look like. There was an image on the site that I got this from. I think it's like an AI image. I'm not sure, but I'll let you guys see it. It's interesting to kind of look and see how this might actually look. We've seen with how Google has made their own. What was it called? The dock. I forget what it's called. The Google dock.
Oh, the Pixel dock?
Pixel dock, thank you. With how they've done theirs, where you can actually put the pad on the dock itself. But this would just be a unified device on its own.
I was just going to ask. It sounds like it's integrated. It doesn't sound like
it
it's
is.
two separate
Yeah,
items.
it's not two separate items. But I was just saying, kind of Google has already done that, where it's kind of a whole device, but it's two separate things. So I don't know. I'm kind of
sounds like something from Amazon or Meta, where they have the Unibody screen and the speaker.
Yes,
is that
absolutely.
kind of? I didn't get a chance to see that article, so I'm guessing that's what that AI generated image is showing.
I actually do have an image for you right here if you want to check it out. Like I said, it kind of hones in some similar. Yeah, it is weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's very strange.
Vintage iMac, right there. That is hilarious.
Yes, actually, it's exactly what it is.
Oh my gosh, with the half moon stand and the arm. Oh my word. Yeah, that is. I can definitely see what they actually input into the AI to get that image.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's weird.
I'm not gonna lie. I would actually think that would be cool if they put that out there as a product, just because it would be such a vintage way to kind of draw attention and applaud the iMac back in the early 2000s. So that is cool. I doubt it'll be like that, but
yeah, no.
Okay, yeah, that's.
I mean, people do miss the niche and vintage stuff of Apple in a sense, because that's how they kind of grew up. It had a lot of memories and nostalgia with that. So I don't know. Yeah, it's probably not gonna look like that, but if it did, I'd be kind of into it. I think it's weird.
So you combine an iPad with a HomePod. I'm thinking anywhere between $500 to $700. I'm not sure. What are you thinking if that actually comes true?
Like if the iPad was separately, or
I mean, if this product is actually
unified.
If this is the true nature. I mean, we're taking apart the fact that it looks like the iMac. I'm just saying, if this does come to fruition, kind of a pricing estimation, I would guess it'd be around that range.
Well, assuming that from what Gurman has indicated, it may be HomePod, Apple TV, and FaceTime. I could say $500. Accounting for Apple's price hikes and everything like that, the Apple logo. But yeah, I'd say that's probably around there. So yeah, we'll have to see. We'll keep you guys updated on this. But yeah. So
yep. On to deals actually, which is one of them is Apple. We have the second gen Apple Pencil, $80 down from $130. So that's definitely one I would jump on, but I already have it. So if you don't, that is definitely a good deal. I do enjoy the Apple Pencil, and if you're an artist and been waiting for that, definitely a key item for a discounted.
Yeah, my wife has one actually. She uses it a lot to draw, and I use it to take notes on her iPad. And speaking of iPad, the 10th generation is down on Amazon from $449 to $349, which brings it a 22% discount. So that's a pretty solid one right there.
And you said that was the latest iPad Air?
It's not the Air. It's just the iPad, the 10th generation.
Oh, just the regular iPad. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, and I did check all the colors. It doesn't matter. It'll still take that discount off. So.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And then the Ecobee new Smart Thermostat Premium is down from $250 to $210, so 16%. Nice there on Amazon.
The last one we have here is the Google Pixel Buds Pro. You're going to get a 19% discount going from $199 to $162. So that's a pretty solid one there too for Samsung. So
yeah, very true. But getting back into news here, back in 2018, Netflix removed the ability for customers to sign up via the App Store. However, it still allowed existing subscribers to continue paying through Apple. Netflix has now fully cut ties with the tech giant, and notifications have been sent out to those who are still using Apple's payment method that they will need to provide a new method to continue accessing the service. I'm sure some subscribers are bummed about this, but if anything, I'm actually surprised Netflix has held out for 5 years, considering that Apple still takes that 30% cut from those who are still paying through them. But yeah.
Again, this brings to mind the idea that they're probably still going to. Well, actually, no, they probably wouldn't do it with Netflix. Well, yeah, they still might. They might take a cut at the end of the year, like they have to pay a certain amount, kind of like how they were going to do with Epic, with that whole debacle right there. It's hard to say, kind of, because Netflix is kind of a different ballgame.
It depends on how it runs, because from what I'm understanding, it doesn't sound like it's a redirection. It just makes it sound like you can't even do anything in the app. You actually have to pay through on the website. So I don't know if they do have a redirection built into the app when you download it.
Yeah.
But it seems like everything is now web-based versus on the actual app store, which makes sense. And honestly, I feel like you're going to see a lot of companies do that, depending on how it's implemented, even if somehow Apple does take their cut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just one of those things. I feel like a lot of companies are sick and tired of having that percentage cut from Apple.
Oh, I'd be too, yeah. That's ridiculous.
Last week we said in news that an Xbox Series X Slim could be on its way soon, as soon as holiday season this year. Now we have reports that a Series X White could be part of that hardware release. There is some speculation that it could be released earlier than that, but often it's later than sooner in the tech industry. It's also expected that this revised model will house an improved heatsink and an updated Nexus card with other possible improvements.
Okay.
Personally, I'm in favor of the white console, as my whole entertainment center is white along with my Sonos bar. But as to whether or not we could actually see this variant come to fruition is as speculated as the Series X Slim. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's. I feel like they're starting to move along towards PlayStation. Kind of getting the Slim and then the
I didn't
white.
think about that, but that's true.
Taking some notes there, Microsoft. But no, seriously though, that actually is good because the Xbox Series, the One S, actually did have a white version, I believe, wasn't it? Yes, and then the 360 had a white one. And I feel like they've kind of moved away from the white series a bit. I'm not sure why, because white and black is usually normal finishes for devices, especially consoles these days.
I don't know. Maybe they see white as an entry level versus premium. Who knows?
I can see that. Yeah, like matte finishes are usually known for being a higher price. Yeah,
possibly.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But Xiaomi has released a watch that has been claimed by the company to last up to 65 hours, which is nuts. While not only running the Snapdragon W5 Plus Gen 1 and Wear OS, this device also garners 32 gigs of storage and 2 gigs of RAM. And also has a price tag of €199, which would be translated into $217. And all that is exceptional to me. Being a couple 120 euros less than the Samsung Watch and still having all of these pretty neat specs is exceptional to me. Being 120 euros less than the Samsung Watch and still having all these pretty neat specs does give me some interest, actually. Now, the weird thing is this actually has 495 milliamp hours. For the battery, and so the question that many people are asking, and I'm sure JD you would probably ask as well, is how is this thing going to last for 65 hours when some other major watches are almost about the same milliamps? So it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see when this is released, how people use it and all that. So.
Yeah, we'll find out later in the show how that works out here towards the end. Or at least a speculation on it. With the TicWatch Pro 5, they actually do it with a dual screen. So I think that's a cool way of doing it because I think the TicWatch comes around 500 or 600 milliamps, and that gets around 4 days of battery life. So, that's pretty impressive though as far as Xiaomi is considered. Is it? I'm hoping is this like an international model or is it just limited to Asia?
It looks like it's probably going to be Asia because I had to convert it to USD myself.
That's pretty typical. Yeah.
It didn't mention anything else. So
I don't normally see a whole lot of Xiaomi models
No.
come here to the States. So
I don't either.
It typically stays in the Asia market, or sometimes, well, it sounds like it's pounds or euros. So that's obviously,
yeah. So it'd be
that's obviously in the UK.
European.
So
Yep.
yeah. Outside of that, I'd be interested to see what the designs are. I'm sure we'll have images up there kind of showcasing it.
Yeah.
But
Kind of looks like the Galaxy Watch 6, actually. A lot of people were saying.
oh, okay.
So,
Okay, I
yeah,
can kind of see
very
where that's
similar.
coming from then. Moving on to one of its competitors, OnePlus just released the 12 and the 12R. But only the 12 ships with UFS 4.0, which offers not only faster storage speeds, but impacts aspects like quicker boot times, faster application load times, and lower latency all around versus the older UFS 3.1 that dates back to 2021. The marketing team over at OnePlus, however, made an error in their advertising as they stated that the 12R did indeed come with UFS 4.0 rather than what it actually offers, which is 3.1. Because of this, Chief Operating Officer Kinder Liu has announced that, quote, if you received the 12R 256 and want to discuss the situation with the file system type on your phone, please contact customer service through your usual channel. They will be able to discuss the next steps with you up to and including a refund until the 16th of March 2024, unquote. Which you would hope that would be the case, that they take this approach to a mistake like that, but it's not always guaranteed how manufacturers will address these kind of situations. Now, I do find it interesting that he specifies the 256 model and not the 128. So I'm guessing that it was just a 256 that was falsely advertised as
That's what I
the
would gather,
4.0 specification. Yeah. In either case, it's certainly something that I would consider returning if I had the model, just because if it was under hopes that it had UFS 4.0 rather than 3.1, that's a big major deal for me. It's one of the reasons why I have the 256 OnePlus 11, because the 128 only came with 3.1 instead of 4.0. So I feel like that does matter to quite a few people. Even if the 12R was advertised as maybe a cheaper option, some people look at that and think like, oh, I can get a 4.0 at a lower price. It wasn't the case in this situation. So
yeah, and you expect it to be also a faster write speed as well. So, and if you're not going to get that, then that's kind of
they even stated how that actually impacts quickness of images when it comes to photography too, because it's writing fast. Yeah,
that makes sense.
So,
yeah, glad that OnePlus actually went ahead and worked with customers like that. That's really good, and giving them an extension till what'd you say, March 9th?
16th.
16th. Oh, okay. So it's still a few weeks away. So that's really good that they've done it this early. So, great. Threads has added a couple new features to their mobile app. The first is the utilization of the camera. Now, I will make it known, like before, that JD and I have never used and probably won't ever use Threads. So I had assumed that people had been able to use the camera on the app, and that was already made possible, but apparently not. Regardless, how people have had to do it is basically grab their photos from the actual photo app on whatever phone they're using, take pictures through the camera app, and do all that kind of craziness. But now it's obviously a bit easier. The other is saving drafts. So one thing that Facebook has had for a while is if you decided to not post something or send a message to someone, the app will save the draft for the next time you come back to the contact or something you're about to post. So this feature is now on Threads, so enjoy, fellow Threaders.
Well, that's impressive. I mean, it's not like crazy insane, but it's nice that they're adding that. I kind of feel like, that is surprising about the camera aspect. I feel like that should have already been implemented, but
I feel like this app...
Like we said, we don't use the app, so I don't know how detrimental that would be to the user experience if it wasn't already there. I assume it's pretty annoying, but...
I feel like this app was a bit rushed, if I'm being honest, because there's a lot of things
probably
that
was because they saw
being established.
Right, yeah, they saw that chance to jump on top of how horrible X was doing, so they were like, let's get Threads out there ASAP. So, and it didn't even hit Europe until later on too, so it was just mainly for the States to begin with. So, there's a lot that went down with that, and I'm not really sure how well that was implemented into the beginning. It sounded pretty bad, but it gets worse.
Good.
Not so much with Threads, but Apple, $3,500 Like we've mentioned, that's the minimum of what people spent on the Vision Pro, and that does not include tax or the optional $400 Apple Care plan. Now customers take to Reddit expressing their concern and frustration in finding out that the exterior glass of the Vision Pro is cracking right down the center. These reports continue to grow with each day, and while it hasn't evidently reached the point of widespread issue, this anomaly seems to take place without any aggressive use of the product. In fact, most reports state that the crack appears the next morning, and in some cases the headset was even stored in the travel case. Those who have contacted Apple were likely annoyed to find out that due to the limited reports and lack of confirmed manufacturer's defect, consumers will have to shell out an additional $300 just for the repair, providing that they bought Apple Care. Again, that was $400. Without Apple Care, that $300 fee climbs to $800, nearly a quarter of the cost of the product. As of this recording, Apple has not come out with any public statement on the issue, so that's pretty horrible. Kind of been coined as Crackgate, Vision Pro Crackgate. So there you have it.
I just got blood boiled a little bit. I'll be honest, that's probably one of the most things that I've been ticked off with Apple.
All I'll say is that you'd think by now, after all these issues, I mean, this is going back to the iPhone 6 with the Bengate. I mean, they've been through so many things. You'd think that this would have been refined by now to the point of building a product that's over $3,000. That really blows my mind. I expect there to be problems with maybe battery life or even the operating system.
Yes.
Just various things.
New. Yeah.
It's new. So you have to expect that there's going to be issues with the first gen. That's always the expectation. But that really surprises me.
I mean, you've taken so much time to actually try and work on this.
Just trademarked this video.
Yes. It takes so much time to work on it and make sure it looks good, but then I don't know. It's just one of those things where there wasn't a whole lot of care, no pun intended, into this device. And this is obviously just one thing, so I'm not like, oh, one thing happened and all of a sudden this device sucks. No, I still think that this is an amazing advancement in technology. Being as it's an AR, VR type headset and it utilizes out spatial visuals and everything like that. It's amazing and incredible. I am not downing that. What I'm saying is it's annoying specifically to customers when you see this issue being proliferated, shall we say, and Apple's like, not enough evidence. They did the exact same thing with the AirPods Pro, or the AirPods Max. Remember where that whole sweat issue?
Oh, yes, the sweat issue.
And they it's not. It's the user's fault. It's not our fault. You just don't know how to use it right. And it's like, no, that's not the problem. It's all headphones have this type of sweat issue, and it's just, I don't want to get into all that, but it's just a matter of customer care, and that's kind of like the thing with that OnePlus did. Perfect. And there wasn't probably even a whole lot of people that had that issue with that 256 type for the R. But they still went ahead and said, you know what, we will resolve this issue for you. We care. We don't want to lose customers. That's it.
I mean, who knows how many people are actually going to see that article or get that notification about the 256 and UFS 3.1. In this case, this is absolutely insane. I just can't get over the fact that this kind
monumental.
Of stuff. I would have much preferred it take place around the hinges of the band or something. But this is glass, and it's it's the most key part when you're looking at someone using Vision OS or the Vision Pro.
Literally.
I mean, that just, I don't know. Wow. This could be an episode of itself, but
oh yeah. It could. On to something a little more lighthearted, I guess you could say. This past week, Lenovo made headlines with their new prototyped transparent laptop. As the name implies, the display utilized a very thin layer of micro LEDs in between pure glass. As you can see here, literally you can see through the laptop, but also you can also use it as if it was a normal display. Now the keyboard is also made completely of glass as well, which means not only can you use it as a normal keyboard, but you can also utilize it as an art pad for drawing and such. There's still quite a few kinks with this device. One of them that I saw a video on was that black really doesn't show well. Obviously, the LEDs don't react to like completely black parts or whatever. So that still needs to be worked out. And also the idea of privacy, since it's transparent, people can see the other side of what you're doing. So that's an issue that needs to be resolved as well. But I do think as technology advances and Lenovo really works hard to refine this device, I don't know about you, JD, but I could see this becoming a very popular laptop in the future.
I guess it depends on the use case. Like if we're talking maybe a point of sale system where like you're going through and you're building something for a customer as far as like an order, and that's great because they can actually see it on the other side in some way, shape, or form versus actually having to use like a secondary monitor. I think other than the cool aspect of this is where we are with technology, I just don't quite see the use case outside of that. Maybe I'm just not thinking fourth dimensionally, as they say in Back to the Future, but that's kind of my take on it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you have any counter thoughts to that?
I do. I would say less components are utilized if you have just basically glass, which also could save on power and efficiency, and save battery life as well. So yeah, I would say in terms of usability and efficiency and all that, I would say that actually would kind of your point in that sense, because most devices on laptops now would drain if they didn't have that type of nuance. And I agree with you in the sense that we don't know how much this thing's going to be. Obviously, it could be $2,000 or $3,000 for all we know, but it's a prototype, right? So it's still working out a lot of the kinks, and you are right in the sense that it's a little. It would only be used in certain cases, I suppose. Yes, but we don't know what else Lenovo's planned for this. Maybe they might make it so that way. I was actually thinking about how in glass like on a car, on the outside it looks dark, on the inside you can see through it. I'm sure there's some way that they could make it to where the outside can't be seen, but you can see through it.
You exactly made me think of, like a Mercedes-Benz where they have that button in the middle, in the back, where it actually transitions the glass from being visible to where you can't see through it. So I can see that. Yeah, I guess my question is what would be so impressive about it outside the fact that this is cool technology that people would spend money on it? And also the fact that you'd either have to spend quite a bit of money on the materials in making this to make sure the glass is durable versus seeing how fragile. There's just a lot of questions other than, yes, inside I'm actually quite impressed by this. I actually saw the press release as well as the articles that came after that. Yeah. I don't know. I just have a lot of concerns about it, but I can see where you're coming from on many levels. So I'm not going to fully disagree with you. That's kind of how I see things, and I don't know. I tend to be more of a negative person than pessimist. So
I wouldn't say negative. I would say cautious, which is always important. I mean, you literally rate things 2 points less than me when it comes to phones. But I
probably would have rated the Vision Pro less than you as well, and now it's even more.
Now it's even more. Yeah, totally. So. But yeah, no, it's a great device. So we'll see what Lenovo does with it in the future.
Yeah, that's true. And as we always say, it's always cool because we get to see how this might, spark other products from competitors as well.
Yeah, spread it out. Yep.
Closing out this episode, OnePlus just announced their Watch 2 on Monday, the 26th, and pre-orders have already kicked off. The watch takes on an attractive circular design and follows through with many of the rumors we've cited in the past, such as the W5 chip and Wear OS. What we didn't expect was to have a co-processor and co-operating system to come along with the 500 milliamp battery. The BES 2700 efficiency chipset powers OnePlus's lightweight real-time OS that made its first-gen watch popular as far as battery life. With this combination between the two processors and operating systems, one takes on a lighter weight functions and features, while the W5 chip is there to power Wear OS and heavier duty demands from the smartwatch. It boasts about 100 hours of battery life with normal usage in smart mode, and as little as 48 hours with heavy usage. Now, I don't expect the always-on display to be factored into that 100-hour testing, but that's still pretty impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, it is.
We were kind of talking about that earlier with Xiaomi.
Xiaomi, yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually
gen.
really interesting. When you watch the event, it's about 30 minutes long, and we will post it down below if you want to check that out as well. It's pretty cool. There are some drawbacks to it, but before I get to that, I'll kind of let you have some of your preliminary thoughts on this.
Yeah, I hadn't gotten a chance to actually watch the event. I completely forgot it was today. So thank you for filling me in there, JD. But yeah, to know that the high battery life and the coinciding chips that they didn't just make it one chip. That's actually pretty smart. They're actually it's a creative type, I think, and it works really well because Apple's done that a lot with their devices where they have different chips.
I was about to bring that up. Yep, exactly.
Oh well, I took the words right in your mouth. You're welcome. But yeah, using multiple chips to make the device much better than just using one chip and being like, well, that'll power it, that'll do it. But yeah, so far it sounds like a really nice watch.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that. I'm like, if this was Apple, that's what they would be doing, and because they don't have all the resources to do in-house development, they actually have to outsource it to Snapdragon and then BES and such. So that's kind of the downside. And I'm sure it could probably be a heck of a lot more efficient if everything was in-house, or at least the majority of it was. But that said, it is worth noting that despite many of the things that this includes, it does omit ECG and temperature sensors as well as fall detection. And as of now, no LTE variant is available. Now, I also want to highlight the fact that the top of the crown button is functional only in that you can press it in. It cannot be used in a turning manner to scroll the screen, because I feel like that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
And from the comments that I've seen on many of the reviews thus far, multiple consumers were bummed about that as well. And it's weird because when you look at the images and you look at people reviewing it, the top of the crown is etched and kind of like beveled as though it should be turned.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Yep.
You can do so. It just has no effect on the operating systems. So that was I'm not sure if maybe that's can be done with a software update, or maybe that was a problem and they haven't released it yet.
Possibly,
or if this is just what it is, and maybe that feature won't come until maybe the Watch 3 or the Watch 4. I just find it frustrating. Like, what's the point of having a rotating crown that doesn't do anything versus just having a flat button? Like, why didn't they just do that?
Was that on the Watch 1?
The Watch, the first gen, I believe, only had one or two buttons, and I think they were just flat. I don't think the Watch, the first gen, actually had a rotating crown at all. So,
I don't know. That's weird. I feel like it shouldn't take that much for you to make a rotating crown that allows you to scroll through your
right. I mean,
stuff.
The hardware is practically there. You just have to connect the two.
Right. Yeah.
So I think, what's the point?
Either that was laziness, or maybe they just didn't know how to do it, which I think the latter is true, but you never know.
I mean, I'll say this much for sure. It makes the design look really attractive, but then it's almost like it's kind of like marketing, Oh, we're marketing this watch, and it looks like this, and you've probably seen other watches like the Pixel Watch and the Apple Watch have a rotating crown, but this doesn't do it, so you're kind of stuck once you buy it. Either that, or they're going to have a lot of returns, but...
Well, it's like the OnePlus, yeah, exactly. It's like the OnePlus Open, where everything was great about the phone except that massive bump, which wasn't a huge deal breaker for people. This is something where it's like it's needed because every other watch has that, and you're used to that. So if it's not there, then it's like like you said, what's the point?
It affects the functionality, yeah. It's not so much about
the
design, like you're saying with the OnePlus Open. That really bummed me out, and I already do have it on pre-order, and actually, surprisingly, so does our dad. But yeah, it's just unfortunate to see that part. It's very similar to the Xiaomi model. It does have 32 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of storage and 2 gigs of RAM.
Ooh,
and
32 gigs of RAM is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot on a watch. But outside of that, the watch comes in one size and two finishes: black steel and radiant steel, with a price tag of $300. So,
okay, that's fair. I mean, a little more expensive than I would figure for OnePlus, but I think that's okay.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is because their first gen was so much of a fitness tracker, I would say, versus an actual smartwatch.
Yes,
I'm glad that they actually, I would rather pay the $300 that's like closer to like a Galaxy 6 or a Pixel Watch than to have it dumbed down and not even be in the competition, especially when you're adding Wear OS. So,
for sure. Yep.
But in either case, that will wrap it up this week's episode. This is JD and Riley, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace out.